Hey guys, my name is Alex, and this is my pimple, Hotspur. Today I'm making another video about reselling, particularly about reselling books on eBay. I'm going to show you 3 titles that I have put up in my eBay store. There's a link in the description where you can check them out if you're interested. But I'm also on my 3rd cup of coffee, and I just finished editing the previous video, which was about sort of reselling some of my Norman Mailer collectibles. I can't believe I have an actual collection of those. So this is going to be probably all over the case, all over the place. But the first thing I wanted to mention is, like, as I was editing that previous video, I noticed that my eyes keep going down to the right, as if there were something there, as if I was consulting notes or a teleprompter, but I don't have notes, and I don't have like a script, and I don't have a teleprompter, certainly. But what that reminded me of is this thing, and I don't mean to be tinfoil hat about this, I'm just curious if anyone else has noticed. Whenever President Biden is speaking off of a teleprompter to a camera, he does 2 things. He does this little gesture, and then occasionally he does this gesture.
And wounded dozens more. He played a key role in the bombing of U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania.
And I am certain that both of those things are signifying something to whoever is operating the teleprompter. And I just really want to know what those signals mean. Part of the reason I'm drinking so much coffee lately is because I work at a grocery store now. I get a discount on the coffee, which is great. But prior to work, I'm going to get back to the books. Prior to working as at the grocery store, I was working for a couple of years as a bartender at a pizza place. And it was basically like a family vibe, but you had the autonomy of being a bartender at a full bar. And just to give you an idea of like the emotional whiplash that's going on, yesterday at the grocery store, I was working in the dry produce section, and this dude walked in, an old guy, and he just grabbed my wrist really hard. I was stacking apples, which is a very precarious enterprise. I don't recommend it. As we know, like, the formation of a pyramidal structure can be accomplished basically only by extraterrestrials and Bernie Madoff. So I'm trying to make this pyramid, and this old guy comes and he grabs my wrist, and he puts his face in my face, and he goes, "Honey." It's like a gargoyle stone grasp, and his voice is very raspy, and he's right, and he smells like breakfast. "Honey." And when I was a bartender at a full bar, if like the place is busy as the grocery store was last night, and some way older dude came up and he grabbed my wrist and called me honey, one of the upsides of that job, for all of its downsides, is that basically without consequence I could tell this old man to get the fuck. But I am no longer a bartender. I am a grocer. And let me not diminish the point, I need this job. Not only do I genuinely like it, I need it. So I'm making my pyramid. It's really precarious. This old dude comes, grabs my wrist, gets in my face, and he goes, "Honey." And again, I need this job. So instead of telling him to get the fuck out, I was like, "Yes, daddy." And then he went on to say, "Where is honey?" He was looking for like the condiment, like honey to put in your tea. Anyways, so the books I'm selling on eBay this week. First one I wanted to talk about is Optimism Over Despair. This is one of the dozen or so books Noam Chomsky writes in the course of a year. The way it works now basically is he kind of dictates these books, or what I think is more often the case, and what is the case in this one is, I don't know if you can tell the different fonts. It's the transcription of a dialogue about certain matters of, national security, the economy, human rights. I think this is a very like elegant, cool pocket paperback edition. It's listed as £6, which is typical British deception. This is definitely no more than like 6 ounces. But I love the title, and I think it's very interesting. Again, it's Optimism Over Despair, and it's interesting because like the main emotion caused by listening to Noam Chomsky is despair. This is in good shape, and again, just because it's basically a very handsome edition, and I think I'll sell this for like $7 or $8. I don't know if I'll get to the 3rd book, but the second one, and this seems so much like the kind of thing that someone sells on eBay because they never gave a fuck about it. They got it as a gift. But I can assure you, I had a very legitimate interest in Jerry Lewis when I got this Jerry Lewis biography. I don't know why I find the cover so amusing in like a not particularly ironic way. For a certain audience, I can understand that Jerry Lewis, like outside of the movies, is just a very toxic entity. But the main reason I got this book is because I was very interested for a while in the story of a movie that Jerry Lewis made, that I think he directed, wrote, produced, and starred in, called The Day the Clown Cried. Anyways, it's a movie that was basically completed, but it never saw the light of day, at least not a full cut. There are some clips online, and what is readily available online is the entire screenplay of this movie. And basically, it's a very heartfelt, earnest movie about a mediocre clown in Nazi Germany who gets thrown into a concentration camp. The adults in this concentration camp are separated by a chain link fence from where the children are held captive in this camp. And over the course of this movie, the clown, played by Jerry Lewis, begins to put on little acts for the kids through the fence and to entertain them and lift their spirits and distract them from the obvious horrors of their environment. And it's basically a drama, but here and there he makes efforts at like slapstick comedy. This isn't one of the clips that I've seen, one of the clips that to the best of my knowledge is available online, but in the script there is a scene where like the Nazis are doing roll call and the prisoners get up from the barracks and they go outside, but Jerry Lewis's character doesn't hear the alarm or the siren for the roll call, and he oversleeps. And on realizing that he has overslept, he hops out of bed, and it's very cold in the barracks, and so he's mincing to the bathroom, and then he gets to the bathroom and he goes to the urinal, and the camera has him center framed from behind as he's standing at the urinal or like a trough, and he starts to pee. And as he is peeing, you hear not the sound of water hitting a trough or whatever, it's the sound of ice chips hitting the trough. It's like just stupid slapstick comedy set in a concentration camp. And the story goes that like he finished the movie, he screened it for a few people, and they were just absolutely mortified, and they were like, dude, what were you thinking? You cannot release this. And I think it took like a lot of coercion, but he ultimately agreed, and he sort of put the movie in a vault. Upon his death a few years ago, the Jerry Lewis estate gave the movie to the Library of Congress. I think his will stipulates that beginning in 2024, the Library of Congress can begin to hold public screenings of The Day the Clown Cried. Anyways, so that's just talking about two of the books. I did not sell any books lately, but I did sell a couple things I ought to mention. There was a thing of computer ink that I found at a Salvation Army. I got it for $10 and I sold it for $100. And then I was at a Goodwill somewhat nearby, and I found a different color of computer toner from the exact same model. And I was wondering if maybe they came from the same source. That one was magenta, and I got it for $5 and I sold it, I think, for $55. Those cartridges of printer ink, though, are like the most lucrative windfalls I've had in the 2 months of attempting to run an eBay store and like pull off this reselling thing and pull in a little extra money. Anyways, if you're interested in either of these books, you can find them on my eBay store. There is a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.